OK, so let's talk about this apparent heat wave, because you can sort of put the brakes on winter at the moment. We're not there yet. We're going to enjoy, apparently, temperatures of something like 22 degrees for the next 5 days.
Fantastic. Temperatures today could reach 25 degrees and up to 27 degrees tomorrow on Sunday, making it unseasonably and unusually warm for an October.
Yeah, well, let's make some sense of it then and see what's happening all around the country. Weather journalist Nathan Rao joins us. Hello, Nathan.
Hello, good morning.
And like I said, I think we probably ought to start with the north.
Yes.
Because they're going to be deluged with rain, aren't they?
Absolutely. There is a Met Office. There are 2 Met Office warnings out in place across pretty much the whole of Scotland today, and that is for up to 7 inches of rain in the worst hit regions. There's an amber warning in that region and a yellow warning more widely. This is because that's where the jet stream is sitting at the moment, and that's where the contrast between the cold and the warm air is, and that's where you're going to get this sort of battleground causing the intense deluges. So one to watch up for out there. Possible damage to buildings, travel disruptions certainly.
Yeah, they're warning that trains will probably have to be halted.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some very, very intense downpours in a short period of time up there, so one to watch out for, and very, very different from the rest of the country, which is going to be enjoying summer's return, and we can call it an Indian summer. OK,
so just to address Carol, who's up in North Yorkshire, is there any chance she's going to get sunshine?
Yes, Carol can look forward to some sunshine, because this hot weather, the high pressure that's causing this is going right across the country, so the south is going to get the warmest of the temperatures. This always happens when we get warm air coming up from the south, but really all of the UK is going to be warm, apart from Scotland and the very north, over the next 2 days. 27 degrees possibly the highest temperature we'll get tomorrow, which is very unusual, because the average for this time of year is about 10 degrees.
Well, of course, the big question will be how unusual is it? Andy says he remembers in October 2011 it was just like this. But, of course, when the weather's like this these days, everyone goes, oh, my God, you know, it's climate change, the end of the world is nigh.
Yeah.
How unusual is this? And is it something we should be concerned about or something we should just enjoy?
Right. Now, Andy is right, because in 2011, on the 1st of October, we got 29.9 degrees, and that was the record. Now, in terms of why we're getting this, and is this something we should be worried about, and this is something we're going to see more of, and then we start very carefully tiptoeing around this discussion of climate change. We're certainly seeing more and more unusual weather events, but I'm always very, very firm on that we have to separate these issues of weather and climate. Now, climate is an average of weather events taken over a period of time, and weather is an observation of things which happen immediately, changes in wind direction, temperature, pressure, all that sort of thing. And I think you've got to separate the two, because this is where the hysteria comes. Now, the climate is certainly changing, and there is a link to say that the probability of unusual or extreme events, weather events, increases with the changing climate. So there is a link there, but I think it is wrong, and I think it's unscientific to look at every single unusual weather event or extreme weather event, be it heat waves, and go, that's climate change. It's not. It may have been made more probable by climate change, but I think to keep this discussion sensible and scientific, we need to keep that distinction and keep it balanced. So yes, these things could become more probable as we look at climate change going forward, but then again, they might not happen.
You can't get away from the fact, though, that we seem to be breaking records all the time with our temperatures.
And even this year, I mean, we had the hottest June on record. We've had the beginning of September, we saw 30 degrees for 7 days in a row, which was a record. We've had the hottest September, the joint hottest September on record.
We had a miserable July.
We had a very miserable July, yes, that was miserable. But overall, we seem to be looking at records, and not just in the UK, but if you remember a couple of months ago, we were talking about the Cerberus heat wave in Europe, which was absolutely astonishing.
One thing.
Oh, sorry. I was just wondering if the way we're getting our temperatures is changing. In that, I just remember, and I don't know whether it's just because, you know, I'm looking back through rose-coloured specs, but I seem to remember that July and August, my mum and dad used to take us down to Torquay or something on the south coast, and you knew you were going to get a week or two of really good baking weather. And now we get the high temperatures, but we only get them in short spurts.
Yes.
And then it's horrible again.
Yes.
And then maybe you come along a bit later and you say, all right, we'll do another 5 days of good weather. It's not like it used to be.
It isn't. And actually, this is a very interesting discussion, because not only is the summer not like it used to be, but the winter as well. I mean, it's now the beginning of October, and I always remember when I was at school wrapping up for October and bonfire night and being freezing cold, and you'd always get snow in December. And now December is pretty much, we're looking at temperatures every year around 15 degrees. You know, we're always looking for this white Christmas. And I cover this stuff every year, and every Christmas I'm looking at it as well. And we're recording temperatures in the teens, and it's all very unusual. And then we get the snow later on in January. So there is a definite change going on. You know, no one can deny that the weather is changing. Now, the discussion is whether that's a climate change man-made thing or whether it's a cyclical thing.
OK, Nathan, one thing I always love is the fact somewhere like Bognor Regis is going to be warmer than Barcelona. Yes. Where will Britain beat this weekend?
Britain is going to be... Well, we've got to remember that Europe is very hot, but there are some places. Barcelona, 26. So if we get that 27 tomorrow, then we'll beat Barcelona. And Istanbul, 25. Pretty grim compared to our 27 tomorrow, so that's looking not quite so good. But yeah, parts of Europe, we could be well up there. So head to Bognor Regis.
Sweet as a nut. Thank you,
Get the Barbie out, get the paddling pool out, maybe. It's still time to be able to do that. And if you're like me, you sort of look back and think summers used to be different when I was a kid. You know, and your mum and dad taught you how to swim in the sea. My dad taught us how to swim with one of those big inner tubes from a car tyre. They were good fun.
They were brilliant.
And that was in places like Torquay on the south coast. And I don't know, were summers different in the olden days?
And winters. I used to love the deep, crisp snow. You could set your watch by it. Every year you make massive snowmen, and it was like a fantastic thing to look forward to.
And I grew up in the Midlands, and the chances of a white Christmas were pretty high.
Yeah.
In and around Birmingham, the West Midlands, you could get a white Christmas. Now you never see one.
Now the odds are usually against a white Christmas than for a white Christmas, because it's becoming so unusual to see that even further north. I mean, as I said, I look at this every year, and I can't remember if we've got white Christmas last year. It snowed a bit earlier, actually. I was in here and it was snowing at the beginning, but I think actually it turned mild again. So we're looking at milder Christmases more. But it's interesting, you're more likely to get a white Easter than you are to get a white Christmas.
That's true, yes. We've had two of those, haven't we? Yeah.